Hey, you said you were going to ask me questions.
That's where you get to say hello. This is gonna be a shit show.
Come here, sit down from hell.
All right.
Hello there.
Welcome to the Bucklesberry Lemonade Podcast. On this evening's podcast,
Back to Bucklesberry Lemonade. I am your host, Lisa. We're brewing up a special batch of something a little different. We're dipping our toes into the mystical, swirling the sunshine with a dash of wonder, and squeezing out the juiciest tales of guardian angels. Yep, those unseen heroes, the watchful whispers on the wind, the helping hands you never saw coming. We'll be sharing stories from folks who swear they've brushed shoulders with the divine, dodged disaster by a feather's breadth, and felt the unmistakable tingle of an otherworldly nudge in the right direction. So grab your tallest glass, pucker up for some goosebump-raising goodness, and join us as we explore the extraordinary in the ordinary. Because sometimes a little belief is all it takes to see the miracles shimmering right beneath our noses. Today, we're raising a toast to the unseen forces that keep us safe, guide us through the rough patches, and remind us that we're never truly alone. So sit back, relax, and let the sweetness of serendipity wash over you. Plus, my co-host Tim shares his personal story.
well, hello. How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
I cannot complain. Welcome back, everybody. We're glad to have you.
Yes, it's been a minute.
It's been a few. And you know what? I've been looking forward to this podcast. This is going to be a really, really good one.
Yes, and since we put you at the last, let's start you off at the first.
Oh, you want me to go first? Okay. Well,
Yes, we might as well let you
Okay.
tell yours first.
well, this is my story. This happened. I was in my early 20s. At that particular point in my life, I was going to school to be a scrub technician or a surgical technologist, and was living in Kinston, and my clinicals were in Greenville, so I had went to Greenville that day for my clinicals, and I'd finished clinicals, and I was on the way home. I'll never forget it. I was going down the highway, and I was listening to ZZ Top. It was on the radio. And I
What
don't
song
know
was it?
if you remember this song or not, but it was Viva Las Vegas.
I remember it.
Las Vegas. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So
Keep going.
anyway, I was on Highway 11, and I don't know if you remember, but you remember for the longest time on Highway 11, they had that building out there that looked like a huge igloo. It just looked like a great big igloo. Do you remember that?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm not going to swear, but I think
Well-
so.
Well, right in there is where this happened. And what happened? I was heading home, and there was a fella in a truck who was at a stop sign, and he ran through the intersection, and he T-boned me, and he knocked me 90 feet, and
Wow.
when he hit me, thank God, where he actually hit me was on the fender well, I believe. It's where the car is actually welded and reinforced right by the door as it connects, if that makes any sense. And
Yeah, I think.
the car took the blunt of it force there because it was a 4-door car, as opposed to my door. Okay. But he knocked me 90 feet, spinning me around and around in circles.
Oh my goodness.
And all 4 tires burst. Well, just to put a good southern term on it, they busted. And
You told me this story so many times, and it still amazes me.
it still amazes me. I still get goosebumps from it. But I hit the steering wheel so hard and with so much force, it bent the steering wheel up. And my arm flew up, and as it flew up, it hit the window on the, obviously on my side, on the driver's side. And I remember the car coming to a stop. And keep in mind now, I'm going to school in clinical 5 days a week. So my mind is geared toward all this medical stuff flowing through my mind.
And you're worried about everything.
I'm worried about everything, and I'm scared. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm scared. I've been in enough car wrecks that for whatever reason, for me, at the point of impact, and maybe it's this way for everybody, everything goes into slow motion. And so I'm aware of everything happening, but it's in slow motion. And I remember hitting the passenger the driver window, and I remember it breaking, and I remember feeling the shards of glass cutting me, and I remember thinking this hurts really bad, and I'm bleeding a lot. And then the next thing that goes through my mind, I can't catch my breath, so I must have broken my ribs. Okay. So then the sensation of the car stops spinning, and I'm there, and I'm in a lot of pain, and my chest is just really hurting. I mean, I'm feeling all kinds of pain in my chest, and I can't breathe, and I'm aware that there's blood everywhere because I can feel it just running all over everywhere. And I'm looking, and I'm seeing my arm, and I'm seeing the bones. Okay. And because where I got stitches, I received right at 40-some stitches in my forearm. So I'm laying there, and I'm thinking, I'm hurt really bad. All of a sudden, I hear this man's voice. And he says, calm down. And it wasn't in an angry tone. It was in a very gentle but matter-of-fact tone. Calm down. And I immediately felt like I need to try and get hold of myself. He said, you've been hurt, but it's going to be okay. He said, help is on the way. He said, I need you to calm down so you can catch your breath. He said, your heart rate is way too high and you're bleeding really bad, and I need you to take some deep breaths and calm down. And the way he kept saying, calm down, it's like his voice would drop a note or two, calm down. And he said, I'm going to take my hand. He walked me through the whole thing. He said, I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to put it over your wound to try and help stop some of this bleeding. He said, I'm going to apply some pressure. He said, you let me work on that end, and you work on calming down and catching your breath and collecting your thoughts. He said, because they're going to need some information from you when they get here. It's okay. And I'm calming down. Something in his voice is so reassuring. And Lisa, I looked up at him, and this is where I'm getting chills right now. I look up at him, and all I can see is his arm through the car. I can't see his face because he's directly in the sunlight, or what I perceived to be sunlight. And the sunlight is shining down from the back of his head, and I can't see his face. But I could feel the pressure on my arm. I could feel the gentleness of his voice. And he was so reassuring, I felt myself calming down. And the next thing I know, it's like I must have blacked out for a second. I'm not sure, but it's like I lost consciousness for just a minute or second. The next thing I know, I'm hearing all this activity around me. I'm hearing sirens. I'm hearing these guys saying, hey, we're going to have to get the jaws of life. I think we're going to have to cut him out. He's going to be heavy, because at that time I was a big boy. And as they're getting me out, okay, one of the guys makes the comment. He says, man, this guy's lucky. And so I leaned over And I said, before you load me up, can I tell the guy that helped me thank you? And the EMT guy stopped, and the other EMT guy stopped, and they looked at me like I'd lost my mind. And one of them made the comment, he may have a concussion. And the other one looked me dead in my face, and he said, son, there was nobody here when we got here. You were by yourself. And that took me a minute, because I sat there thinking, I was not by myself. I know for a fact I was not by myself. There was somebody there with me. And I will always believe, regardless how people want to believe, they can call it a third man factor, a third man syndrome. We can call it a guardian angel. It could have actually been a real person. It doesn't matter. All I know is that particular day, in some form or fashion, a guardian angel took care of me that day. And I believe that to be heaven sent, and I don't care what anybody else has to say. I truly believe the good Lord sent somebody for me that day, whether they were in a physical form or in an angelic form. That's not for me to decide. But I will say this, I do believe it was my guardian angel that day, and I'm very thankful. And if that was a real person, flesh and blood, nothing would make me happier right now for you to hear my voice just to say thank you. But as God is my witness, God has heard me say thank you a many a time, just in case it was angelic. And that, sorry, that is my story.
Wow. That brings chills up and down your spine.
It gets me the same way, and that's been over 30 something years ago. I mean, well over 30 something years ago. For listeners who are wondering, Lisa and I are both 56 years old, so that's a long time ago, but I still get that feeling every time I think of it. And that's I mean, you and I've talked about it. Do you have any situations where you 100% feel like a guardian angel was right there helping you?
Well, I'm pretty sure there's been a lot of times, me, but not one particular. I mean,
I think
I'm
it's
pretty
one of those things that
not like what you're saying. I mean,
but
well, no, let's see.
but you do believe you've always had some help there that just came straight from above or
Oh yes,
whatever.
I've had it. I know I have. I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
you
Absolutely.
know,
But that's
just oh well, there's one I do feel, God help me get through a red light because I mean I thought it was green, and everybody was going. I didn't get. I I was going with everybody else, and if I hadn't sped up when I did, I'd have been smacked by an 18-wheeler. Plus, another 18-wheeler tried to get me. I just don't like those things because me and Vicky had picked Vicky up from work one day, and I mean, not an 18-wheeler. There was a car. The 18-wheeler slammed on brakes because that car come so close. That 18-wheeler hadn't slammed on brakes. Me and Vicky, it would have been a head on.
mm,
I was going off the ditch and everything.
that's so scary.
It is scary.
You talking about train tracks and railroad tracks and trains and things like that. You remember, so you go down Highway 70, you turn off by the church at Fallen Creek, and then you would go across the railroad tracks. You know the ones I'm talking about, like you were going to go to Castle Oaks or out to the 258. You know the one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You remember for the longest time, there wasn't a light there.
Oh yeah.
And I used to have a really bad habit as a teenager of not stopping, you know.
Mm.
And I remember one night going through there and it was pitch black. And something in the back of my mind just said, just stop. Just stop. And I thought, okay, I'll just stop. As soon as I stopped, here come that train. There were no lights on the train. For whatever reason, as weird as that is.
Oh,
And I wasn't hearing the train because you keep in mind now I'm 17 years old. You know I had me some Quiet Riot cranked up and I'm banging my head, you know.
Yeah.
I
Mm.
didn't hear the train, but I
Yeah.
heard that whisper in
Well,
my
your
head say,
guardian
"Stop."
angel had a full-time job.
I think he has had a lot of full-time jobs concerning me, but I'm very thankful.
I
So,
am too. Mine too.
me too, honey. Me too. Well, since we're going to be sharing stories tonight, you want to start it off and share a story?
Okay, let's see. A guardian angel helped this person avoid a deadly snake bite.
All
It
right.
says, when I was in my 20s, I spent 4 years traveling the world. I was in South Africa, just outside Durban, and a friend had taken me on his motorbike to his favorite waterfall. We had both been swimming, but I got out cold and went to sit on a patch of green grass. To get there, I had to step from the sand. I was on over I was on over a log, then across a bit to the grass. I was walking medium speed and lifted one foot to step over the log when a very loud, booming masculine voice shouted, "Stop!" Except the shout wasn't heard with my ears, it was inside my head. Yeah, you better listen to that one.
Absolutely.
Hard to explain. Also, there was nobody else around except Tim and I. It almost us.
Wow.
And he was still happily swimming. I stopped, wondering what had just happened. I still had my foot in the air above the log. I looked around and spotted what I thought was a leaf waving about 6 inches from my big toe. It took a few seconds to realize that it wasn't a leaf, but it was a snake, a black mamba.
Oh no.
He had
That's
his head
that's the
raised
dangerous kind too, right? I
and
mean,
was
that's
licking the air right near my toe. He was waiting to see what my next move was to be, and he had seen me long before I saw him. Slowly backing up and walking very carefully backwards to where Tim was. I have no explanation for the voice that I heard except that it was so loud and was inside my head rather than heard with my ears, and it came at a time when I didn't feel in any danger at all. She was just calm and happy, and she felt that it was her guardian angel who shouted at me to stop as I would have stepped right on the snake.
wow.
Mhm.
That's wow. And a lot of people would contend they'll say, "Okay, was that a guardian angel or is that your sixth sense?"
Hmm.
Yeah. And
Well,
what if it's a little bit of both?
could be, but
Yeah.
she said she didn't feel in any danger, and I mean, she was calm and happy and just having her a good time.
Mm-mm-mm. So scary.
It is
Wow.
very scary.
Mm-mm-mm. That's crazy. I would not want to step on a black mamba. I just pulled that up. That's worse than stepping on a king cobra.
Oh, I don't even like these snakes around here.
Uh-uh.
No.
Well, I've got one for you. Um,
Okay.
this fella, his name was Steve Montgomery. He was heading home from a painting job when something
Mm.
crazy happened. As he drove down the interstate, he noticed what looked like a pipe rolling down the road. A tow truck drove over the pipe, sending it flying straight through the windshield of his truck, Steve's truck.
Oh, wow.
It should have hit him in the face, but somehow missed him. That's his angel at work right there. He then couldn't see where he was driving, but somehow still managed to pull off safely up to the side of the road.
Oh,
And
wow.
this is what Mr. Montgomery had to say. He said, "I think an angel was driving the truck. When I was down and couldn't see the highway, I believe my guardian angel kept it on the road. Something else was definitely driving my truck." Steve was even more sure of the angelic presence when he snapped some photos following the accident. And in researching this, guys, this is just the story. I don't have the picture, otherwise I would have it on the screen. But in one of the photos, he has a V-shaped cloud formation, which to him represents angel wings. Would to me if I was to see that.
Yeah.
Okay. Our guardian angels are all around us, he said, ready to help us out in any way they can. And they're here, sent from God, ready to help us when things look bleak. So,
Wow.
and you think about that. The first step was that metal pipe. I mean, he could have been knocked wide open. So, all
He
right.
really could have.
So, I guess it's your turn. You can flip it over and read us a good one.
Well, this one is a mystery voice saved this girl's life. And her sister had a similar experience. They were both in car wrecks. And she had what she called a 70s grocery getter. And it started flipping through the air. And she
You
said
remember
that,
those? It was just good enough to get to the grocery store.
yes. And she said a voice loudly told her to lift her arm. So, and she said the only thing that she did was broke a bone in her hand, but she was told that doing that had probably saved her life, and because her hand took the brunt of the landing, and she did not fall on her head. So she kind of contributes that to her guardian angel.
I can definitely see that. You think about it, had she fell on her head, all the injury she could have sustained from that. That could
I
have been
know.
really bad.
It
Wow.
could have been really, 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 really bad.
But have you ever been in a situation to where you hear that small, still voice just say, "Hey, do this, don't do that"? I, I wonder how many people actually listen to that voice.
Uh, uh,
I
Usually I
have,
try
I have
to.
that voice. I have that voice. I know you do. So
Yeah.
it reminds me of a story. This woman started having these voices in her head. She kept hearing two voices, and they kept telling her she needed to go to the clinic to have her brain checked, that she had a tumor.
Oh.
So she decided to listen to those two voices, and she went, and they even told her in her voice in her head where to go. So she went to this certain clinic. Guy looked at her like she was crazy. They took her in the back. They decided to run some tests, and lo and behold, she had a tumor. And the voices told her to take the surgery. Everything was going to be fine. She took the surgery. They got rid of the tumor. She heard the voices tell her, "We were glad we got to help you. Thank you for listening. Goodbye." And she's never heard
Hmm.
those voices again. And that is, you know, that's so that she felt that strong enough. That was such a strong emotion that she went and had it checked out.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy, isn't it?
That is very crazy.
That's really crazy.
Mm-mm-mm.
I'm sorry. I shared mine from memory. That's a story from ago. So if you want to share another post, you or another story, you can, or I'll go through one, whatever you want to do.
Well, you can do another one if you want to.
All right. So this person, once I was in a small group of four, stuck in a very difficult searcher. I'm trying to say circumstance and situation is a word.
Mm-hmm.
So stuck in a very difficult circumstance without food. We would no doubt be rescued within 24 hours. But a lot could happen before that. One guy pulled out a box of 6 beautiful Belgian chocolate truffles from his jacket and he offered them around. Hey, it's chocolate, right?
Of course.
I almost was reaching for one when I heard this voice screaming, "Don't touch that." So I didn't. They were laced, come to find out, with LSD and we were trapped in a Central American conflict zone in the middle of the night. Nothing in my consciousness could have ever suggested to me that someone would do something so stupid under such circumstances. Can you
Wow.
imagine?
Mm.
You're in an area of conflict, and somebody just offered you something to make you totally lose your damn mind.
Mm.
Ah, that's crazy.
I know. That is crazy.
You look at everything that could have went wrong. Wow.
I know, right?
Hmm.
That is so crazy. Mm. Mm-mm-mm.
You want to share one?
Of course. Um, about 20 years ago, this family, they were getting ready to move across the country for her dad's job, and the grandmother was worried sick. She was not elderly back then and in perfect health. And she was in church, worried and praying we would be safe, being so far away. Suddenly, a booming voice echoed through the whole church. I will take care of your family, echoing. She shot up, looked around. No one else had heard it. No one. She knows it was God or her guardian angel telling her we would be okay. So that was God or the angel saying, I've got your family. They're going
Yeah,
to be fine.
absolutely.
That
Wow.
is that is exactly where I always say, God's got you.
For sure. Absolutely.
You got to believe
100%.
it.
100%. Here's one I thought was interesting. I wanted to share, and this was a teenager, and she related this story. She says, "I was walking home one afternoon when I noticed a strange man on a bike ride by me, and he rode by her very slowly. She says she then noticed footsteps behind her and turned around to see the man swinging a metal bat at her, trying to hit her. And he kept repeating he was going to rob her. So she stood there in shock and started to attempt to run. Um, but to her, this is when God Almighty stepped in with the guardian angel. As she looked into the distance to begin running, she sees a nun opening a gate and calling for her to come in. And as soon as Rebecca got through the gate, that's her name, the nun put her arms around her, closed the gate, and kept telling her she's safe now. You're going to be safe now. Everything's okay. The man runs up to the gate, but he can't get in the gate. And the family called the nun a hero, but I think deep down inside, we know what happened that day. God set a series of circumstances in play to where, again, human form, angelic form, however, but a guardian angel stepped up and saved this little girl this day.
Mm,
That's a good story right there.
that
I
is
like that
very
one a lot.
good.
So, all right, what you got next?
Um, an angel in a cowboy hat provided comfort.
Oh Lord, trying to get your rip fix in. It's Yellowstone stuff,
Yeah, I
huh?
tried to get the Yellowstone Monopoly game. Hmm.
And
See?
by the way, guys, before we go any further, give us a holla. Check us out on our website,
Mm.
finish it off, honey.
BucklesBerryLemonade.com.
That's it. And share it with your family, your friends, your loved ones, even the people you don't like, so we can get our followings boosted up. And we'd like to hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, but also on the podcast platforms that we're on as well. So thank you guys so very much. And there's our little commercial break. Lisa, back to you.
Well, thank you very much. She was traveling on a divided 4-lane highway, and there were openings for turns about every quarter of a mile. It was 6:30 in the morning and raining just enough to piss you off. Um, Misting, spitting, a woman T-boned her in the back driver's side fender. She spun and came to rest in the median. It's all grass and mud from the rain. Out of nowhere, a guy shows up to my driver's side window. He has a large cowboy hat on. He says, "You're going to be okay." And he holds my hand. I asked him his name, and he looks away like he doesn't want to tell me. Then he says, "Bill Hill." I smiled and said, "Thank you." Another motorist who stopped calls 911. An ambulance and is dispatched. When they arrive, he moves out of the way for the EMTs to get me out of the car. Car is totaled, no glass left. I get checked out, and I go home with broken ribs and a shattered kneecap. A few days later, my mom takes me to see the car. What a wreck. I told her to help me get some personal items from the car. When I looked in the back seat, there's the dude's cowboy hat. I told my mom about him, and we both proceeded to try and find him to thank him for being so kind. He never existed, and we lived in a small town of only a few thousand at the time. We checked with police and the churches and everywhere. How did his hat get in my back seat? He wore it the whole time. He held my hand and had the hat on when he got out of the way for the EMTs. I think he was an angel. Why would I have his hat?
I agree. Well, why would she? Wow. That is good. I like that story a lot. I mean, it's
It
one of those
sounds
things.
it's a little bit like yours.
It's a lot like mine. It really is. But the cool thing here is she's got confirmation that hat is in that back seat.
Yep,
That's her confirmation.
that
That
is.
is that is a beautiful story. Wow.
That is beautiful.
Yeah. That one gives you cold chills.
Yep.
Wow. So this next one, this happened while somebody was rock climbing, and I think if you're going to go rock climbing, you need a guardian angel. What you think?
Yeah, I do too.
I have rock climbed a fake wall in a gym, one of those things, and I enjoyed that. I used to love to do that, but Timmy ain't going rock climbing for real.
Why not? Not me neither. I ain't going.
Oh, I can
I'm
tell you why.
scared.
Scared. I'm scared.
I'm scared of heights.
Hey, don't the good words say the good book say, "Lo, I be with you." It don't say nothing about being up on a mountain.
Exactly.
So, all right. So, according to this story, he was free climbing a 30-foot cliff. Wow, free climbing, and if I'm not mistaken, and for those of you who know, let us know in the comments. I think free climbing is when you're doing it with no ropes, no anchors, no nothing. That's
Right.
I ain't doing that. So, anyway, he says it was a 30-foot cliff face once. The face was mostly shell rock with plenty of handholds, and I was young and dumb. 2/3 of the way up, my left handhold broke free, and I was reaching with my right, and I started to fall. Now, see, for me at this point, I need to change underwear.
I need to change everything.
You know that feeling when you're tilting back in a chair and you tilt back just a little too far? Yes, I
Yeah.
do.
Yes, I do
That
too. I
that's
sure
exactly
do.
what he said he was feeling, and as he started to fall back, everything got real slow, so I guess there's somebody else who feels it all in slow motion. He said, "I
Woo.
knew I was going to die or at best be injured. I felt a hand gently press against my back, right between my shoulder blades. It felt like a perfectly normal right hand, and it pushed me back against the rock face." Wow.
That was his guardian angel. That was God. That
Absolutely.
was God.
Absolutely. I took a moment to steady myself. I was pretty shaken up. And then I climbed down to safety. I'm inclined to believe that it was indeed my guardian angel, but that is solely based on my religious background, and I don't know where said guardian angel was when I got hit by a car. I suppose it could have been a hallucination, but I don't use drugs and I wasn't on any medication. I'll probably never know what happened, but I'm very thankful that I didn't fall. Well, he's thankful and mad about it at the
Alive.
same time. It's like, where were you at on the second go around? Come on,
Yeah, I
dude.
know.
Wish you luck now. You know.
You know, you got to slow down a little bit
But you know that makes you wonder though. He's meaning that obviously as to
as
make
a
light,
joke.
yeah, of a very heavy situation.
Yeah.
But you know, doesn't it make you wonder if in this rock climbing instant, okay, or anybody else's instant, mine, yours, anybody's, if in that moment so much is known that you do not know,
Oh, you know there's so much.
that's why you have the intercession, the interference um comes in because you're being saved for another purpose. Whereas with the car wreck that they were in, the outcome could have already been known, and it would have already been known you're not going to die from this. You're going to get sore, you're going to get hurt, your insurance is going to go up, but you're going to live to drive another day. Whereas with
Yep.
the rock climbing, that might have been over, and this is where we're at. And and I think you have to factor that in too. You know, I
Yep.
really do.
I do too. I agree. That
Okay,
is very true.
that's great. So it looks like, and guys, we're using a new streaming platform tonight. So bear with us. We've had a few technical issues here and there.
So
It
let
looks like
us think. Let us know what you think. If you can tell a difference, we need the feedback also.
absolutely. So, my beautiful, darling wife, if you want to share one more story, we will finish it up and call it a night.
Okay, this one, he narrowly avoided being hit by a truck. We were moving from southern Washington to northern Washington. Me in my old pickup and my wife and son in our other car following. The fuel pump on the pickup gives out, and I pull over just past an off ramp on the highway. I send my wife and son to buy a new fuel pump and start to remove the old one. I'm standing on the traffic side of the truck, at least 10 feet off the highway, not really concerned that I'd get hit. When a voice sounds close to my ear, you're going to get hit. I've heard that voice often enough to know not to disregard it and move to the other side of the truck, at least 50 feet away. Sure as shit, not more than 2 minutes later, another pickup comes down the off ramp at 50 plus miles per hour, broadsides my truck from the back bumper to the front. If I had stayed working on the pump, I'd have been turned into a jelly smear on the side of my truck.
Wow. And
Uh huh.
you hear tell that happening so much. And the thing of it is he knew to listen to that voice. He knew.
Yes. Mm
But you
hmm.
know, it's like I've always told you, I believe some people are blessed with a innate sense of things, and I've told you how this has kind of been handed down on my side of the family.
Well, I
And
believe I know a little bit. I can feel and hear a little too. I'm not as good as y'all, no
I
doubt.
believe you do. I believe you do. Well, you remember back when we were dating, we were going in the store, and I told you, get over here on this side. That guy's trouble.
Yep.
And within 5 minutes of going in the store and out of the store, he's in the parking lot trying to fight somebody, and,
Oh,
which
yeah.
would have spilled out all over where we were walking at.
Oh, yeah.
So it does make you wonder. Well,
It
I kind of hate to end the episode. You want to come back and do a part two?
we can definitely do a part 2, and we will find some more interesting and wonderful stories. These just make you it gives you a good feeling.
It does. It gives you a really good feeling, And
Send some snow our way. If you got snow, what snow?
no snow.
Yes, snow. Snow, snow, snow.
But again, guys, if you would be so kind, hit that like button. Please share and subscribe if you're new to us.
Please, please, please. And y'all have a wonderful night, day, wherever you are.
Please do. And remember, BucklesberryLemonade.com. Thank you, guys. See you next time.
See you next time.